Sorry about that. So the point is that in 2019, the EBC, our members that were in that meeting, of the 55 members, 25 of them said, help us get the younger generation into industries. We don't know how to get them involved. And so that is part of the goal that the EBC has had, is how do we create a workforce pipeline and bring you new hires that are interested in the industry, that also would be a good fit for the higher performance companies that are doing energy efficiency and all the things that are coming with beneficial electrification that we're either involved with or hearing about. And so what we did is we partnered with ICAST. ICAST is also a member of the EBC, but acts as an implementer and works in multifamily buildings, and also has a lot of expertise in heat pump training. And then also with Julius Education, and Julius Education is actually based out of back east, but they have a platform and a process for recruiting new hires and putting them through a electronic training. And so what we did is got together and we applied for an RFP with the city of Denver, and we won the Good Green Jobs RFP. And so we have a 3-year contract, and that is to develop exactly what we're going to talk about today. And what we're looking for and my goal is to create a loop where you may have employees that you hire that you would like to put through that training so they're understand the industry. You're likely to have higher retention and have a better hiring and them a better experience and join your company, as well as recruiting from places that are 2 people from Julius Education will talk about. The students are not going to college. They're looking for good jobs. And so I want to create that loop where they go through that training. Not that I want to, our group is creating that loop, that they go through the training. And then if you are a member, your company is a member of EBC's action groups, the action groups have the opportunity to get first right of refusal to hire them. So we will help make that connection to get those employees to you. And that is part of where we are asking for your input for us to understand what you need in the jobs. What kind of employees are you looking for? What kind of training do they need? And also, how would you like to connect with them? So that's our goal, is to start getting that conversation with you and get that input. And we're at the very beginning of building this pilot. It's a pilot model that we're working on. And if it's successful, we believe that Denver is going to help us. We'll figure out ways to scale it for you. So any questions before we move forward? Before we get started, I'd like to go around, just have a quick introduction of everybody on the phone. So, who we're talking with, and let everybody, have a good idea of what industry everyone's in. So with that, I think let's start with our 2 presenter speakers today. It's not that formal, but so we have Matt Evans and Daniel Goldsmith from Julius Education. And Daniel, do you want to kick it off, or just introduce yourself and then we'll go around and talk first?
Sure. Daniel Goldsmith, Julius Education, focused on workforce development for energy and infrastructure employers.
Great. Matt.
Hi, nice to be with everyone. I'm Matt Evans, also with Julius, and look forward to the discussion.
I think, Mike, if we could have you introduce yourself as well, Mike Bryant.
Sure. Mike Bryant with Nuova Luce and on EEBC. I should say, without employees, I sub out to electricians my install work.
Kevin Steinke, I'm a regional sales manager on the ductless side of the business for Carrier. So work on the HVAC piece, but very kind of interested to see what this type of program can bring to the trades.
Dan Hannigan, sorry.
Hi, I'm Dan Hannigan. I work for a consulting firm called Energy Solutions, and we implement a lot of rebate and incentive programs across the country. We don't work with contractors too frequently, but I've been involved in this lighting action group over the past several months. I'm interested to hear what ideas folks have today.
Jason Oliver.
Hi, I'm Jason Oliver. I own AeroSeal of Colorado. As Patricia had mentioned, we're kind of a cross between HVAC and insulation and air sealing. So we're hard to define, but we basically seal ductwork from the inside is kind of our main thing. So we seal ductwork and make the HVAC system much more efficient.
Frankie Holmes.
I am with the Rocky Mountain Climate Heating and Cooling Office Manager in Colorado Springs.
Rhonda Peters. Rhonda's a member of the EBC as well, and as a consultant in the industry, and we've had a lot of good conversations about how to build the pipeline like 2 years ago. So I think she has a lot of good ideas and interest too. So with that.
I'm Scott Milne. I'm the owner of Rocky Mountain Efficiency Group. We retrofit all parts of a building, including, of course, lighting and HVAC. It's very interesting, Patricia, that you're going through this because I'm also the director of the Denver Lodging Engineers Association, and we're considering attempting to do some of the same things. My members are begging, scrambling, just cannot find staff to fill their busy buildings right now. So I'd like to help them in that regard, but they're different topics we're talking about. I hire commissioned salespeople at my company. I subcontract out the work to people who are insured to touch plumbing, HVAC, lighting fixtures and things like that. But I am looking for sales folks who can make a good living, but they share in a bit of the profit rather than get a salary.
I don't think there's anybody else, and no one else has come in. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Daniel, do you want to kick off what you guys are looking for and how the project's going to work?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Patricia. Just a little bit of background. Matt and I have worked in the world of education workforce probably around 20 years, building these type of pathway models where we route people into either additional education and training or direct to employment. And we had done a lot of work. Matt and I previously worked at a company called Pearson, which is a large global education company, doing this type of work. But we saw mostly in tech and financial services, healthcare, but saw an opportunity to kind of come do it in this sector. And generally, Scott, what you just outlined is what we hear everywhere. Nobody can find enough people. There's a level of desperation to both recruit and retain kind of quality candidates. And so our approach has really been to develop an experience that we can put people through who may not even know what these jobs are or be aware of these opportunities, but it gets them attuned to the possibilities, what the job is like, and gets them excited about the next steps, or gets them on another track if it's not a good fit. So that happens before they kind of hit your front door, so to speak. And so we call these kind of accelerator programs, where they kind of blend the awareness of the job, what it's about, what's the career, and then helps them build a bridge right to you guys. And so just as an example, we built out something similar when we were at Pearson. Pearson probably had 20,000 employees at the time, so massive. But one of the groups we worked in, we had a big call center operation, a couple hundred people, and they were fielding all sorts of calls from our kind of our students who were going to community colleges or in our workforce programs, and they had to field all sorts of questions like, how do I deal with financial aid if I'm going to a community college? Or, by the way, I'm stuck on my program, like, how do I get help? All sorts of things. And it was a call center role, but it had a sales responsibilities because we were trying to get people to help get candidates into more programs or additional programs. It had a real customer service. We had to triage all sorts of demands, and you had to really be a good listener because it wasn't always clear what people were asking about. Could be people were confused a lot of times, and we just couldn't find enough candidates for this. So we helped put together a little bit of a program that said, hey, do you want to work in the field of education? Did you know there's an opportunity to work directly with people who are trying to advance themselves in their lives? here's an opportunity to make a difference. And by the way, did you know you can do it at this company? You may not have thought about, you may have just thought education, maybe I could be a teacher or something. And I think that's the parallel I think we see here, which is a lot of people just don't understand the full range of kind of job opportunities. And they know the sector's growing, and they know these jobs are important potentially. But anyway, so as an analogy, I think that's really what we're trying to build out here with Patricia. And so, really what we're trying to solicit here is your help on how we should put this together. That can range from what jobs should we target with the program, which are in demand. It could be how are things working today? What's working on your end that we could help scale or tap into? Or how do we make this operationally as easy on you guys to take advantage of? To what should that experience be like in this program? So what do people really need to know? How do we help identify good candidates fastest? And so we pass on folks to you that are generally going to be easier to hire and hopefully easier to retain because they're coming in with a lot of background on the opportunity. So let me pause there. Matt or Patricia, did I miss anything?
Yeah, and one of the things that struck me when you were talking about the call center hiring is that you guys were looking for certain characteristics and not necessarily that they had the skills already, but somebody who you could train because, like you said one thing like they're good listeners. And I think the heat pump action group last week said, they work outdoors, they like to see something accomplished. Any other ideas like that I think this group really, we need, if you can think about those types of characteristics or behavioral traits or aptitudes that you see in somebody, or, like I've know insulators that hired people from the meat counter at King Soopers because they just were like, this guy's really good. He gives me really good customer service and be like, hey, do you want to work somewhere else? Because they had certain aspects of, that would make them good at that job.
That's perfect point, Patricia. Yeah, exactly. Given everything's talent market's competitive, how do we find people who, again, maybe haven't thought about this or haven't exactly worked in this, but have transferable, motivation, skills, interests. So again, like we found folks in hospitality settings who were looking to get on a more defined kind of career path. They were good with people. They could handle they could handle the churn of kind of the things that were thrown at them. So
let me give you an example in the installation industry, piece rate. They looked for two qualities. Somebody can do quality, somebody can go fast. And those are total opposites, so you'd have to find somebody who could get in the zone to be able to hit that right cadence. But those are two qualities that, that made them really good installers if they could do both.
And for us, not being afraid to be on the ladder.
Yep. I had wondered about that, if you're afraid of heights.
Well, some jobs are higher than others. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're going to spend a fair amount of time on a ladder.
Got it. Yeah. That's the type of stuff that we'd want to highlight again, up front and just, so people understand that going in, and then talk about why that's an, critical part of the job. So, Matt, did I?
Go ahead.
Please.
No, I think that, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say the other piece we did not say this is for entry level positions too. So I think in the lighting, we talked about, hiring the helper person. And then there's two pathways. One is you go through the Julius education. And then there is the other pathway that if somebody comes through that education and says, oh, I really am interested in being a heat pump technician, then there's a heat pump technician training. But if you, as a lighting company, send an employee through, we'll keep them in the lighting track so that they don't come out and go, oh, I want to do something else. And you had an employee. So Matt, you're going to say something.
No, I think that's right. So maybe there's a couple different questions we'd love to get your guys' take on, but maybe the first one is really trying to make sure that whatever the program we're designing here is meeting your biggest pain points as relates to specific roles. So I think we wanted to maybe spend a little time hearing from you all. Are there specific positions? And Scott, you kind of started this a little bit actually in your comments, but specific positions that are at the entry level are unreal need for you from the hiring side. And then I think from there we can talk further about, what are the characteristics for people to be successful in that role. But I think we want to orient around, things that are really causing some stress.
I think it falls into three categories. The residential homes need insulation and ceiling. And this is tough, hot, difficult. You can't breathe. You're up on a ladder. These are entry-level type labor things that people can pick up rather easily. And then there's the air conditioning field, where you're going to need to go through some ASHRAE courses and get certified for things, but you could probably assist and be an apprentice of sorts. I bring in entry-level people into sales. I train once a week, and I'm able to teach these efficiencies and hopefully have them attract some interest and then take it from there. So I need entry-level folks that are interested in not getting their hands dirty, not being on a roof or a ladder, and would like to learn the industry and how to change a building and make it safer and more efficient. And that's expertise that they can put a tile on when they go to work.
And Scott, that then is for lighting as well. So on the
Sure.
sales side, you're bringing a salesperson. Are they selling all the different industry?
Yeah. Again, they don't end up being experts.
Right.
I kind of am the expert. They just attract by talking about car charging stations and duct sealing, frankly, and water reduction and whatever that building might be interested in. There's some retrofits for in there, and they need to have a taste of them all, and then begin to build their expertise around them.
And Scott, what do you call those roles? Those
Commission sales consultants.
and how are you attracting them now?
Anyone. I'll take on people that are selling real estate or doing something else, selling solar, and I'll take them on as part-time. Let's begin training you, see how you like this. You can attract a roof or some other work. You might begin to work with me more and your solar less. So I'm picking up people that are doing other things that are not 100% thrilled.
Do they have sales experience, though, Scott? Would you take someone who doesn't have any sales experience?
Yeah,
You would.
it's
Okay.
not difficult for me. I mean, it doesn't cost me much to start people. And if they're not in love or they don't make it, they drift away, and that's okay. I need a few bodies on my weekly sales calls. So I do strive to get people that are going to learn, commit, and make it happen for themselves and for me, but not easy, and doesn't have to have sales experience.
Are they selling to the building owner?
The engineer.
The
That's
engineer-
where we have the
engineer-
Denver Lodging Engineers Association and some of our other events, or they'll meet, building operators or, business operators out and about at networking events and things.
Remember, this lighting committee is a commercial lighting committee, so that's why.
The nice thing about for my salespeople is that we have retrofits for every style of business, any business, every business we can help.
And they're subcontracting to the contractors that are installing, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah. Well, again, having my hands in so many industries, it is impossible for me to insure myself as a lighting installer, an air conditioning technician, a plumber, a coating company. It's so, yeah, I end up being the consultant and bring in the contractors to sub.
Super helpful. Would love to follow up on that, but maybe park it for a second, see if there's other voices. But that's exactly what we're looking for. And we know a lot of our folks are looking for something kind of entrepreneurial like that, where they have a little bit of control, or they have a pathway to control their kind of destiny. And some of folks are involved in other things, but don't have a pathway to a kind of career, as we would say. So it sounds like this could be really interesting.
Frankie or Jason Oliver, do you guys want to jump in?
Yeah, I'll kind of come in. So yeah, one of the main reasons that this attracted me specifically, because I did not join the first one because it still said it. I saw something under lighting action group. So I was like, oh, I'm not lighting. So, that's the thing. And that's what I kind of talked to Connie about. But so we're kind of on the edge of growing very quickly. What I'm looking for and kind of what I'm needing are there's nobody that's done this. I mean, the duct sealing, the technology is it's a patented technology from AeroSeal Corporate. AeroSeal's out of Ohio. We use machinery that they provide and things like that. But this whole business is just something that nobody's ever done before. So to try to find somebody that has experience in my field is pretty much impossible. So I'm really looking for trainable people. I'm just looking for people that really that first and foremost, I mean, I definitely could use tech and things like that, but I mean, I'm so new still. I'm trying to just kind of build this company up. That a lot of the people that I hire right now specifically are probably going to be part of my leadership team later on, and that's because I do have plans of expansion, not just to open up several crews here in Denver, but go to Colorado Springs, go to Fort Collins, go to on the Western Slope. I really truly want to be AeroSeal of Colorado, meaning that we cover the entire state. And that's kind of my vision for the company, but that's going to take some time and definitely take some people that are, it took me a long time to find. I've got a technician that I'm getting ready to move into lead technician at this point because he's amazing. And they're hard to find. I mean, they really are, but he's a young guy, very eager, and I've been having problems finding that just in the normal, just posting on Indeed and all that kind of stuff. I'm not getting a lot of what I really want, which are people that are motivated to learn and motivated to move quickly and motivated to kind of, do the job with the knowledge that, hey, this is a good opportunity for me because I could become management. I could become a team lead. I could become somebody that does something, more. So that's kind of what I don't want to say that I'm looking for anybody because I've gone through probably 4 or 5 employees that lasted maybe 2 weeks and they just couldn't cut it. And it's not that this is a hard job. It's not. I mean, that's the sad part. It's just that people were not willing to put the effort into it and see the vision. So I feel like students kind of coming out are going to kind of have stars in their eyes and hoping that I can help them realize those stars. I guess that's the way to envision what I'm trying to get.
Well, one quick question. What is the role title that you put people into?
So they start as comfort technician. And basically what that means is they are responsible for the vast majority of what they do when they start. So the brand new employee is going to basically be helping the lead tech on a job. So they're going to be blocking vents. So they can perform the seal. They're going to be taping around things. They're going to be doing whatever the lead tech asks, which is there's going to be some cutting into duct work. And we do a lot of repairs. We do a lot of fixes on the stuff that we find because that's part of our job is we don't just seal the duct work. We actually do full repair diagnostics, everything. So we're going to work with duct cameras, infrared, things like that, just to kind of find the problems in the duct system. So that's kind of where they start. They move from there into lead tech. If they show like this kid that I'm talking about now, I mean, he's ready for lead tech very easily. And he's only been with me for about 3 months, but he's picking it up really quickly. He's very eager and excited to keep moving up in the company. So you go from lead tech, and then my guess is that then we're going to have team leads, management type things. I'd love to get salespeople eventually, but right now I sell everything. So, it's one of those things where, and I eventually will kind of be looking for those things as well. But I'm pretty good with kind of figuring out what strengths my employees have. I've been managing people for 35 years. So I'm pretty good about figuring out, hey, they're really good at this. So I'm going to kind of work them into this. I just need that. And right now, as everybody on this call is probably experiencing the same thing, just trying to find people that are going to stick is almost impossible. It is so difficult.
I think, sorry, Patricia.
I was just going to say, I heard problem solving in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're curious, diagnostic abilities and problem solving. And
Absolutely.
that's kind of what I know from my industry too, right?
Yep, absolutely.
But I think the vision is also a really important part too, that this program can help them see,
Mhm.
that you're talking about. And I was also wondering, you said your best employee, is there any other characteristics really?
So yeah, I mean, my lead tech is an interesting character and he's a diamond in the rough. I mean, so the guy that's actually my lead technician at this particular point, he's an amazing diagnostics guy. He's got HVAC experience. I mean, he came into it with this knowledge. However, he'd never done aerosol. I had techs at the time when I first brought him on, and I only brought him on as a temporary worker. Honestly, he was totally a temp guy. We were doing a big project up in Boulder, and I needed somebody. I just needed bodies is really what I needed at that point. I was paying, for people to come in and work for about a week or so, sort of thing, on kind of a part-time basis. He showed up, and I mean, he's very so I think technically savvy, or well, I shouldn't say technically, mechanically savvy, I think is a better. There's some technical aspect because we work a lot with computers. We're running, diagnostics programs on a computer. So there is some diagnostics involved in what we're looking for as well, or not sorry, diagnostics, some sort of, knowing computers, understanding how they work, knowing the mechanics behind things, so you can kind of fix things because sometimes our machines will break down or something will go wrong. You need to be able to kind of find those issues as well. So that was something that he came to the table with just that kind of basic understanding of he just knows, hey, this flows and this works, this is the way that this goes, so he could fix things pretty easily. And I mean, this guy was running a machine after one day on the job, where it took usually it's like like a week-long training to run an aeroseal machine. So that's hard to find. But this kid that I brought on that I was talking about, he's still in that position. He's being trained to be a lead tech at this particular point. But he came in, he had some duct cleaning experience, so he knew duct work sort of. But I think what I saw in him is just this kind of he's just kind of got this wide-eyed wonder of a younger generation coming in, which is why I'm so interested in this. He just kind of had this concept. He's been a bartender, he's done a lot of different things in his life, but he's still pretty young. He's I'd say mid to late 20s is what I'm kind of calling him at this point. But he's still I can kind of shape him and I can train him, and my lead tech can kind of train him. And I mean, guys like that is what I'm really looking for. Just kind of younger guys, not a lot of experience, but just eager to kind of learn and get to know this. But yeah, I definitely would think that having a keen sense of problem solving is as speaking to your point, Patricia, that's pretty amazing. Or that would be something that I think would be pretty amazing to find in several employees for sure.
Awesome. One quick key point I wanted to make. I think the number one thing we've seen that drives throughput in our programs is selling the vision. So not just the role, but where you can be in 3 years, and really getting people to understand that vision and that it is accessible, but also what it takes to get there. And
Right.
if they get bought in on that, then they stick through the program, and then they show up, not just saying, hey, I want to do this, but I want to
Right.
get to that place. And
The only problem that I've found in that, and I have done that. I mean, I've done that with every employee
Sure.
I've brought in. Is here's my vision, here's my company, because I'm really invested in my company. I really want to be a part of everything. We have meetings, on a consistent basis. Make sure that my guys have everything they need. I have no problem spending money if they need the what it takes. I had I've had several employees actually say that it was actually disheartening to them, because I would share my vision, as you were saying. I would say, here's what my goal for the company, here's how you get here, this is what we're doing, all this kind of stuff. And then I ran into problems, as far as whatever, the marketing side wasn't working out the way I expected. We're not getting as many customers. So they're not moving as fast as they would like. Like my lead tech would love to be in a different position.
Yeah.
I know, my new guy would love to be ready to be lead tech right now. But the problem is our growth from the marketing side is not going as quickly as possible. I feel like I'm kind of lying to them a little bit by saying, hey, here's all these things. I mean, I know the potential, and I'm very, very confident in the potential. I just need to be able to get the marketing out there, because my product is I don't have competition. There's really nothing I have to worry about when it comes to other people doing this. And it is an amazing product and a well-known and an award-winning product. So people get excited about that when they realize, hey, this is what we're doing. I mean, so all my applicants have been super excited about the technology and what I want to do with the company and the growth and the fact that, I want to see you as a manager and here's the steps, things like that. All the way down to doing signing bonuses for 90 days, constant, just benefits kind of keep piling up as they work longer with me and stuff like that. So I kind of show them all that. But I run into the brick wall on the marketing side because trying to teach people that, hey, this thing that you can't see, this ductwork that's all buried in your walls is leaking like a sieve and you're not getting any air, that sort of thing. And so that's where that's been my struggle. But I agree with you. That's what I've tried to do. And I've actually had complaints from employees saying, we just feel disillusioned now because you told us all this stuff and it didn't come out.
Point well taken. I guess try to have something high level that people can hold on to, but understand that there's variance. I just with an eye on time, I know we have 15 more minutes. Anybody else who hasn't chimed in that has, kind of major talent needs or gaps that they would like to throw in the program pile here?
We're looking more. We have some people that we've been training, either straight out of school or helpers, so to speak. Right now, we're a small company, and there for a while at the beginning we were getting big, and then we decided to back up off of that and try to keep it tight knit. We don't have a big turnover. We take care of our employees. Right now, one of our main gurus, so to speak, he's retiring, so we're looking more for knowledge than anything. Obviously, we'll take what we can get and teach our ways. I don't like the certain companies that are completely commission based and try to scam homeowners and whatnot. And once we catch on to that, they're out. We don't deal with that. We just want to run an honest company, have good knowledge, have good people, and we take care of you, you take care of us. Obviously, like I said, we'll take what we can get at this point because there's nothing out there. So we're trying to teach, but we definitely need some experience.
Hi, it's Jason at Rocky Mountain Climate. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Jason.
Okay. Sorry, I was at a computer without a microphone on it, so I switched over to the phone mode. But what Frankie was saying too, just looking for experience with 5 years talent, MEC 4 licenses. It's really hard to find. So yeah, basically looking for solutions, ideas and stuff like that to get good talent in the door, to help with revenue. We've got a opportunity to make more revenue, especially with the busy season with air conditioning coming up. But unfortunately at the time right now, I think we're running kind of lean, not having the proper talent to fulfill that.
Got it.
Kevin, did you want to give us an idea of what you think your contractors are looking more for position-wise and skills-wise?
I mean, I think it's very much what everybody's talked about. You just run into the recruiting phase of it. How can you get in when you get the folks in? And you do train them if they do stick. What's the retention rate? Are they jumping from one contractor to the other? For maybe a small amount of money, that becomes a concern. So I think overall it's just getting the awareness and finding out and I guess communicating and getting the word out of what the trades does have to offer. And I've often thought, if you do get a kid, say out of high school, you bring him into the program, you train him up, he's out as an installer or a service tech in X amount of months, and you kind of look at that trajectory across his career or her career, what does that income look like versus spending 4 or 6 years in a college program where you can be out there earning? And what is that if you maybe invest wisely in your retirement, things like that, and you start at a younger age, just kind of doing a cost analysis on that, or a income analysis, I should say, to make that look more attractive. Like, hey, if you want to get out there and work and earn money now, that's an opportunity to do that, and you can learn a valuable trade that will be useful to you, for your entire career if you so desire. So I just don't know that in the HVAC side of things that we do a great job of telling the story of what there is to offer and what the different aspects of the business are, from installation to service to controls, things like that.
I think that's a question I was wondering on the HVAC side. What is the most entry level position and where do you go from there?
Boy, this is just my opinion too. A more established dealer or contractor, somebody that's not working for a manufacturer, may something different. But I think most of the time people get involved in the trades, and they're at the HVAC side as an installer. That usually starts, and they're working with like a lead installer that may turn into service from there. They may go to further educate themselves and get into the control side of things with building management systems, stuff like that. Obviously there's a lot of other positions too. Larger contractor dealers have, warehousing positions. So sometimes in that aspect, they may get started in the warehouse and then move out into the field. Obviously there's internal positions inside the office, things like that, where maybe somebody enters the industry that way and then filters out into the trades. Typically that's, or into the field to install. So I don't know that those positions are as critical as just having the people to do the work in the field. And I guess I would add, sometimes speaking to some of my friends and associates that run installing mechanical businesses, they're like, there's times where people may come into my business and work in the warehouse or work on procurement or something like that, and we get shorthanded and busy enough, and whether that be that they're family members, I'm not sure how they coerce them in it, but they have no interest in being in the field, but they get forced there simply because they're shorthanded and they have a lot of work. So it's like, whether it be somebody's nephew or niece or whoever, it's like, guess what you're going to do today? You're going to go install a furnace, whether you like it or not. And off they go.
Yeah. My dad was a custom home builder, asbestos removal company. I was a teenager. I got to work for my dad.
You probably didn't have much say in what you got to do.
My father thought I was his first son. That was like the part of the problem.
Yeah, I have a good friend that, his dad owned a drywall business, but they got into other things. And I was like, for the 40 years I've known him, I'm like, you never worked for your father? He's like, no, I did before I met you. But he's like, have you ever hand painted an entire railing at a La Quinta Inn by hand in the middle of July because nobody else will do it? He's like, that was the day I decided never to work for my dad again. Got it.
That's funny. And Rhonda, I don't know if you want to, I introduced you earlier when you were on the other line, but if there's anything you'd like to add real quick before we go.
No, I've just tried to pick up what I can. I've had a couple things in distraction, so I may follow up with you later, but I'm at a point right now where I've kept my business very small, but my son's going off to college and I'm really interested in air source heat pumps. It's a little outside of my current wheelhouse, but it fits in. And so I'm looking at some opportunities and interests in that, and was curious to see what information was available in this presentation.
Great.
Nice. One quick, I know we're at time, but we were also interested in shining a light on things that are effective or you found effective, even if it's the smallest thing. Jason, for instance, you mentioned, giving that people that vision. Sometimes a double-edged sword, but that's a little thing that seems to be a little thing, and we want to stack a lot of little things together in a way that magnifies that. And we're just curious if anything's come to mind for any of you all that you do or you've heard others do, even if it feels really minor, that is helpful to kind of get talent in the door?
I have one.
Yeah, please.
From the insulation industry. I think that the contractors have the best success with their, when you're looking like, how do I hire right and replicate my best employee? Like Jason, you're talking about your guy that you're moving up, is they tend to, when they recruit their friends and their family, that's when you end up getting better employees. And I don't know if there's a social aspect of it that makes that happen, or is it just, like people hanging around with like people. But that is where they end up having more success typically. I don't know, Jason, Frankie, if you guys see the same thing.
Well, we're out of family members, so that's not a solution.
Yeah, I did start out with, Dave had that kind of vision because he had, that's kind of the way he ran his company. And hey, you got a buddy, bring him over, that sort of thing. So that was kind of the way he did it. I started out with that a little bit, and that's where, and Roswell did come from that. Roswell's my lead tech, so he's the guy that's pretty amazing at the diagnostics and stuff. And that's how he came to me. He was actually a friend of one of my current employees at the time. So I agree. I think that that kind of recruiting is there can be issues, because then you have, you want to make sure that the friends don't necessarily work together all the time and stuff like that, because you start getting them into a fight or whatever, the drama that can happen with employees that you have to kind of avoid. But no, I do think that's that's some of the best, and Dave believed that, and I absolutely believe that as well. That a lot of times you can find that, and that's how I found my diamond in the rough. It was somebody that didn't have a lot of knowledge on this or have any knowledge of doing this, but now is probably one of the best in the country, in my opinion, at being an aeroseal tech and being able to diagnose problems and things like that. So, it's hard to find. And I don't know exactly, that's why I'm here. Obviously I do think that younger generation and people kind of incoming is these are people we can mold. And and I'm not going against the sharing the vision thing. I still will do it. I don't want to say I'm not doing it because of that. I just found it kind of bit me in the tuchus, pretty early on, by doing that, because people kind of felt like, hey, we're not moving fast enough. And you had, because I had this idea that within 2 years I was going to be a lot further. Patricia, you and I have been working on the Excel rebates, which that would have fixed my business right there, if we could have gotten that, moving and all of that, and that didn't work out. And we've been trying a lot of different things to just get the word out there so that we can move quickly, because I already know, it keeps going back to my same vision, which if people understand what this does, we won't be able to keep, we're going to need more and more employees constantly. That's just the way that the business is set up. And I do believe that, unless I'm just completely Pollyannic on my thing, but I really believe that, especially, that's why I said, my first meeting, Patricia, when you and I first met, was with Dave, and that was one of the first times. You guys had probably been talking about it before. This is probably late 2020, I believe. No, I'm sorry, late 2019. Right before the pandemic is when I came in, and you guys were still doing the in-person meetings and all that kind of stuff. And you guys were talking about the ground source heat pumps, electrification. And I couldn't, it took me everything not to jump out of my seat. I was so excited. I was just like, this is exactly, I bought this company at exactly the right time, because this works hand in hand with, the ground source heat pumps and electrification, and just being more efficient in general and making the HVAC system work better. So I know it's there. I know the potential is there. I just have to find that way. And then, but definitely finding employees that can kind of share that vision. So I'm not against the sharing the vision. I'm just a cautionary tale.
Yeah,
If you're not moving fast enough for them, then it may bite you in the tail.
This has been super helpful. Thank you all for joining. We would love to follow up if anybody has other thoughts or job postings, or any way we can stay in touch kind of easily as we start kind of turning on the valve of people going through the program. That would be fantastic.
And just to let everybody know, we do have the heat pump action committee on the 19th, and we're, same thing, just bringing in different people. So if you have some ideas and want to jump in on that meeting to share them or share them one-on-one, whatever works the best for you guys is we'll work with you. So any questions before we go? I know we have 1 minute left. Or any thoughts before we go? I hope you guys are excited about this because we're looking to do it differently. So we don't want to do canned stuff that we want to create what you need specifically, because we will be directing these employees to the companies that are in our action groups who give us input to get the employees you want. So I think that's it. Anything else?
Just thank you guys for listening, and hopefully we can make things work. But yeah, it sounds like there's some good stuff coming up as far as getting some new people in, or getting some young people in, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Great. Well, thank you, everyone. Thanks for everyone's time.
Absolutely. And ping me if you have any thoughts or anything else. I can funnel those to Daniel and Matt as well. All right. And actually, before we go, do you guys want to put your emails in the chat if you guys want to grab them? I mean, you can jump off the call, but if you want to stay for a second,